it means to me to be a Filipino-Canadian chef is if I feel like it's my kind of my duty to be a ambassador of sorts to the culture, kind of be that bridge between the Canadian culture and the Filipino culture. And like we could do that through our food. My name is Zac Ardena. I am a private chef, and I used to work for Fortuna's Row and Prince of Wales Hotel. Growing up, food had a really huge role in my family. We always made it a point to sit down at the dinner table at least once a day. Growing up, my relationship with Filipino culture, it was very, I don't want to say love-hate. I guess you could say more of a contentious relationship with the culture. Like, other than my sister, there weren't that many like Filipino-Canadians. You know, you grew up as a Canadian and you're never quite a Canadian person, but you're never quite a Filipino, because to the Filipinos, you're not quite Filipino, and to the Canadians, you're just going to be brown. There was a lot of like Filipinos that came here, but they grew up in the Philippines. So there's a very like weird dynamic between like myself and those like Filipinos. Maybe a language barrier, or maybe they thought I was brought up a little bit differently, despite the fact that my family had very Filipino values. Yeah, no, family was just everything to us. Well, to be honest with you, I really wasn't really sure what I wanted to do when I was in college, university. But I spent a lot of time paying my tuition working at restaurants, so it was an easy like decision after that. I left university, I left nursing school, which was a huge shock to my family, because of course everybody expects you to become a nurse, which is there's nothing wrong with that, of course, like, but a lot of like my friends and colleagues and family were shocked that I would jump from going to nursing school to culinary school. You get the typical like questions, how are you going to make more money? Is there money in it? But you're going to be working all the time, like, because your titas and titos worried about like your future and stuff like that. I'm like, don't worry, I got this. Well, first, like, it was very intimidating at first. The cooking scene was and still is very like fast-paced, breakneck, very, dare I say, cutthroat industry. Like, you need to be on the ball like every minute of your shift. So to go from kind of like bedside care to, you know, working the rush was quite the awakening experience. There was a few times where I thought like, maybe this is not for me. I just wanted to drop everything and quit, but I just kept trucking along. Just to go through those like challenges and just go through that rough time, I'd have to really just introspect and just be like, is this where I want to be? And when I really thought about it, if I'm not going to do it, there's not that many people at the time that were going to do it. I wanted to kind of represent like the Filipino community. Maybe I wasn't aware of it back then, but definitely like in retrospect, I definitely wanted to be that, you know, I wanted to be proof that there were more than just nurses and that kind of stuff. my love for the culture just got a lot deeper. I made a lot of great colleagues in this community. And just working with these guys just made me appreciate the community a lot more. And helped give me a better understanding about our culture, the people, even myself. Like I learned a lot more about myself working with the Filipino community and learning more about Filipino food. One moment that really affirmed my decision to be in the cooking industry was not too long ago when I was working with a group of Filipino chefs. We're doing a collab dinner over at Oxbow. It was probably one of my first Filipino themed dinners, and just being able to do that, the community, like it was such a warm reception. It really made me feel like I was doing the right thing, and I'm actually like moving in the right direction for once in my life. Filipino food, I feel, is very unique in its evolution. I know a lot of people hate to use the word fusion food, but me personally, I feel like Filipino food is like the OG fusion food. You name it. It's in our food. You just gotta, dig a little bit into the history, and you'll see there's a lot of influence from many different cultures. And it's so interesting because there's just so much to learn about it. Canada is definitely ready for Filipino food, I would say. Again, a lot of the normalized cuisines, like they've been around for a long time. So I feel like the Canadian food scene is due for a nice injection of new flavors and cultures. And if the Canadian food is following suit from the American food scene, then Filipino food is definitely going to be in the spotlight very, very soon, which is really exciting. Well, the way I introduced modern techniques into my food, I would say, well, again, it was part necessity because, again, and accommodation, because I have a lot of clients who are not too familiar with Filipino food, so I would want to borrow techniques that are a lot more familiar to them. So when I was making, like, for example, the okoy bao, I mean, the okoy is still pretty traditional in a sense, but again, I would swap out ingredients, or like omit rather the ingredients. Well, like for example, like for people like my sister who is allergic to shrimp, and I have a lot of vegan clients, so I made the okoy a lot more vegan friendly. And then just again, because I was working in bars and pop-ups, I wanted to make the food a little bit more finger food friendly, so I would make it more like a sandwich. So the open face bao would be more easier to handle, right? And from a production perspective, it's a lot easier for me to make the clamshell style bao than to make a fully enclosed bao. That would be a little bit more complicated. So yeah, just to make it easier for myself from a production point of view, and to make the food a little bit more approachable. That's the way I did it. So what I'm bringing to the table is a vegan okoy bao. It's got very few components. We start with a steamed coconut bao made with coconut milk, coconut fat. This bao is also vegan as well. Originally, I made it with milk and butter, but instead I used coconut milk, coconut oil in place of the flour and butter. So it made it vegan friendly. So what makes this dish really special to me is that growing up, I ate a lot of siopao. And one of the first restaurants I worked at was pretty well known for their kwa bao, which is the clamshell style of bao. So I kind of took inspiration from that and from growing up eating siopao. And then just green onions and a vegan okoi, which is just a sweet potato fritter. And then what we're gonna do is just throw this in the oven until it's hot, and then we're gonna get the bao in the steamer and then assemble it all and finish it with a garlic aioli. Okay, so like I just have a pot of boiling water going. Just gonna put my trusty bamboo steamer in there, and we're gonna throw a few of these coconut baos in there just to get those nice and steamed up. Okay, so like I already made the fritters. So normally an okoi is a sweet potato fritter made with a flour batter, and usually you have other vegetables and seafood mixed in there. But when I started doing pop-ups, I started at a vegan bar, and I wanted to make it a little bit more simple, so it'd be a little bit more approachable. So I just did a very simple sweet potato fritter, just sweet potato and flour batter. I just pan fried these guys, so I'm just gonna throw them in the oven just to get them heated back up, and then we'll be able to assemble them right away. So what makes this dish really special to me is that growing up, I ate a lot of siopao. Every time my parents would do groceries, they would bring at least 4 or 5 packs of siopao home frozen, and as well as eating a lot of okoi, which is something my mom would make pretty often. And she would probably make it a lot plainer for me because I hate to say this, but I was a very picky eater growing up. And on top of that, my sister is allergic to seafood, so we would kind of stay away from cooking okoi with seafood, so it would be safe for her to eat. So this is also a callback to that as well. All right, now our steamed buns should be done. So to be honest, when I was making these steam buns, again, I needed to do it in a vegan-friendly way. And so coconut milk and coconut oil just happened to be the most adjacent ingredients closer to what I was using originally in my buns. So it just turned out to be a happy little accident. Well, some of the important things that I keep in mind when I try to introduce the food to other cultures and other people is that I try to make it in a way that's like a little bit familiar to them in a bit more of an approachable way. When I did these, like, again, the guabao style of buns were a little bit more commonly seen. I tried to make it like more of like a handheld sandwich kind of thing so that people wouldn't be so intimidated. And on top of that, a lot of the places where I made these baos were bars. So you wanted to do like more of a finger food style dish instead of something a little more complicated, like with a fork and knife. I'd rather them just be able to eat it with their hands so they'd be able to kind of drink hand in hand as well. Because I don't know about you guys, but I like lutan as well. So I like to eat finger foods with my drinks, so that makes it a little bit more easier to handle as well. And as a sauce, I thought it'd be good to do a garlic lime aioli. It's made with just garlic, oil, and lime. Those are the 3 main ingredients, and just a little bit of salt. Let's figure it tied in nicely together with the okoi. I'll also put 2 of these on there. Like so. And we got our green onions. I just put in ice water just so they would curl up nicely. Okay. Just a little bit of sesame seeds. Just for texture and color. There you go. Well, to the emerging chefs, especially in the second generation culture, again, just be proud of who you are, and again, be confident in what you're doing. Again, it's going to be rough at the beginning, but again, like as you find your footing, it's going to be a little bit more easier to get to where you want to go. Yeah, looking back, I would definitely tell my younger self to move with a little bit more confidence and not to second guess yourself. I just hope that they continue that culture of hospitality and welcoming and togetherness, because I feel like there's a lot of division in the world right now, and what we need right now is a lot more cohesion and community, and that Filipino sense of kapwa and community is something we really need in the world right now. And I feel like this new generation of Filipino chefs and diners can kind of reflect that sense of community. I feel like Filipino culture, we have this tendency to try not to step on other people's toes and kind of like minimalize our presence and stuff like that. And we don't want to be like, we don't want to stand out too much. We're afraid to like, like, what's the word we're looking for? Nakakahiya. Sorry if I butchered that phrase. But again, we're always second guessing ourselves, and we worry that, people will think negatively of us. But in reality, like, we should just keep moving forward, because people are more than welcome to accept what we have to offer.